Hello, Mary Lou. Just getting all my ducks in a row over here. I got an itchy nose this morning. Ooh. Hi, Brenda. How are you guys doing? I'm cold in my basement. Feels good outside, though. It's cold in my basement, which is nice when it's really hot. But today, when it's a little cooler, I don't know. So I hope everybody's having a good morning. I have... I had a lot done down here last night. I thought, oh, I don't have to do as much when I get up this morning. And I thought, so I just sat around, and then I thought, oh, I want to get this done, this done, this done. So nothing got done, but that's okay. We'll do it this afternoon, I guess. Good morning, Sharon and Diane. We got people coming on, so I'll wait a minute. Oh my goodness. So, gosh, I'm cold. I'm not about to turn my heat on in my basement. The other day, how goofy, I had my air conditioner on upstairs, and I have central air, so it was blowing in the basement, but it was so cold I turned the heater on. My husband says, I don't think that's the way it's supposed to work. I said, I know, but I'm cold. So, not a lot going on as far as, well, Stampin' Up! Has the challenge for the demonstrators, and to better your best from last June's goal. And I'm doing well on that. So, hopefully everything will come out at the end. And we got our product of the month, the little wild bunch. I love the little animals. I know a lot of people don't like cutesy, and but I think they are really, really cute. They have a lot of potential, especially for kids and stuff. You know, if you're making kids' birthday cards and all that. Fun thing to do. So Joyce and Edie and Libby, everybody's coming on. Everybody's getting here. So, I'm not going to talk a lot about what Stampin' Up! Has going on today. I did enough of that last week. Y'all, if you were here, you knew the drill. If you watched on replay, you heard it there too. So I'm going to move on to doing my card. And, of course, my card was inspired by something I saw on Pinterest. I don't know that I did it the way she did it. I did it the way that was comfortable to me. I did use her measurement for her DSP, and I forget who it was that I watched. And I was going, you know, how I say, I'll remember that and I'll write it down. Well, guess what? Rita didn't remember it. So, but anyway, there is a card close to it, and I can't even remember what she used. I think she used the new ferns, the Fern and Flora. I think that's what's called, that paper. I used Brush with Beauty, one of the older papers that's still good. You can still get it. And so because I have so much of that paper, I'm trying to use up some of my paper that is still good, even though it's not brand new, but it's still, you can get it online and stuff. And I'm just trying to use some of that stuff up because I have way too much of it. But I love paper. And you know, I love flowers. Brush with Beauty is flowers, but it kind of goes with this type of card. So anyway, I'm going to turn the camera down. You got enough seeing of me. There you see me again. Bring this camera way down. And you see I don't have the mat on here today because I want to use the grid. Could have put the mat on it in a piece of grid paper, I guess. That would have worked. But you're going to see we got some polka dots going on. I may cover them in a minute. But the PDF is going to be out at 10:30. So that is all ready to go. I feel like I have to say that because for so long I had it not ready to go. So here's my card. I changed it up a little bit, you know, just with the embellishments, the type of saying I put on it, and the saying where it is. And then I did the inside to kind of go with my outside. So I'm going to show you how to do this. And I'm going to say, to me, it looked very easy. But when I started to do it, I thought, I'm not getting this right because I couldn't get all of this even. So that's why I'm going to use the grid lines today. But look what I did. Did something I usually don't do. I made a matching envelope. And I didn't take the DSP I used. I took another piece out of there and used it. So I just did an envelope to go with my card. So anyway, we're going to be doing this. So I'm going to set it to the side. And look at this. You know, now I'm going to say, look at this organization, but you know, I probably forgot something. But anyway, look at this. I'm ready to go. It's all in here. Ha! Even the piece that goes on my envelope. And we're going to set that up here to the side. And, yep, I did. I got everything. Look, I had everything into a container. I put everything I used as I was using it into a container. I thought I was going to be like really special today. So we're using Mossy Meadow ink. And what we have here is we have a petal pink card base because that goes so well with that paper. So I'm just going to fold it. And I'm going to take my time with this card. It's the only reason why I'm doing one. And I have a 5 1/4 by 4 piece of cardstock that's going to go right here. And I have a 5 1/4 by 2 inch piece of DSP that's going to go on here. So, and I think my flowers look better that way. I don't know. But I feel like all this stuff needs to be going up. I don't know. But then again, I feel like it needs to be laying down. I don't know. I'm just going to do it. Joyce, look at me. I'm going to unscrew the whole kit and caboodle of stuff here. Never did find my glue bottle, guys. Just to let you know. I do think it went to the garbage can. That's all right. I found that I could order some empty ones, and I did that. So anyway, I'm just going to take and add some glue. And I put some migraine glue in here. And it really flows. Flows a lot better than that other glue. So let's put this here. And then I'm just matching the sides. And I'm going to match one end and I'll trim the other end if it is a little bit off, which it is. And that happens to be that person that cuts my paper, which is me. I won't blame that on anybody else. So if I cut my paper, then I only have me to blame, right? Yep. Of course, if I had somebody else do it, they'd probably get it right every time. My husband just came home. He went and ran errands for me. Okay, so I have that. We're going to start that in a minute. I'm going to do my inside, and I cut that 5 by 3 3/4 just because I like the bigger border. I've decided I kind of like that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of these, and I am going to, I don't know how I want it. I think I want it like that. I'm just going to put one here and one here. I will try to get them a little bit even. Doesn't mean I will, but I'll try. And I'm just going to put them at a diagonal like the ones on the front are, because I like that too. So we'll go ahead and get this done. I'm going to glue it inside and get it out of my way. There we go. Then we'll get this out of the way and we'll work on our little, looks like a little quilt design. But I did not run it through any embossing folder. Keep it all plain. I thought about running it through an embossing folder. Maybe we could do that after I get those on there. That might be good. Let's lay that up there out of the way. We've got our little, I'll lay him right here out of the way. And then what we do on here is we only need 2 of each of these. I guess I was in a cutting mood because I cut several. Okay, so that's all we need there. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer and cut 1 of each of those at a diagonal. So all I did with this is I just put the and they're cut 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, and I just stick that up at the groove here in that line and line it up so it's lined up evenly in the cutting groove, and then I just cut it. So let's get that off, and then we'll just do 1 of these. And therefore I'll line that up. And I'm starting my cut in the center because of those points, so it doesn't bend them up. So if I just lay that into the center of my paper and start the cut, then it is okay that way. Or so I say. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line this up at the 2-inch line. And this is cut 5 1/4. So like 2, I think I actually, because I didn't want it completely centered, I wanted it a little bit lower. I think I did like 2 3/8. So what I did is I came and did 1. Yep, here's 1. Yep, that's 1, 2. And then I just went up a little bit, actually really almost at the 1/4 of an inch mark, and made sure that that was. And I did not glue that one down, and there is a reason. I glued that one down a couple times, and when I glued that one down first and then went to do my edges, I could not line them up as straight. It was harder. So I'm going to hold that there, put this one down, and I'm going to match it up right at the corner of that. And I'm going to put this right here at that corner because I know that's where I want to glue this. So I'm just going to move my hand, and I'm going to get this one glued down. Now you can use your stamp and seal or whatever. I found it much easier using the glue. So I am just going to glue this right here, lining it up with the edge of my DSP, okay? Making sure it doesn't show. Okay, now I'm going to sit this back here where it's going to be, okay? And I get a much straighter edge, much straighter than I did before. Now you might want to try it to glue that in, but I found out when I did that, I just did not, I wasn't happy with the way it lined up. So now I'll put this one in to match that one. I'm going to bring this down here because it's going to show me exactly where I want to glue that when I'm done. I'm using it as my ruler, actually. So here we go. We're going to take, I'm going to hold that down again, and I am going to glue this even with my edge again. So I have that glued there, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my 2 pieces of my DSP, and I am going to line that up directly next to my little triangles that's already on here. So it'll look like that. So you follow me so far? It's really easy to make once you get, I guess, the dynamics of how it works easiest for you. And it did not work easy for me to put the big one down first. In fact, it's in the garbage can. I'll just be honest. Those are in the garbage can. And these are, so now I'm going to put this one right here. So there we have glue all over my card. I'll get that off in a second. So we have those 2 lined up. Now you could quit right there because that makes a pretty card too. But it looks a little bit more elaborate and stuff when you use the full square in between. So I'm just getting some of this glue off of here because it dried pretty fast. Making sure I have it all off because I got messy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. That's got a little paper edge, paper fuzz right at the end of it. Cut it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, and now what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to try to line up these corners here, and it should line up if I put that right at the edge. If it doesn't, go ahead and make those line up because you can cover this center, okay? Well, that's why, Amy, I used this and just found my edge, you know, just using a grid and then finding out the spot where I might want to go and then use this as my little and didn't measure going across my card. So there we have that. Okay, now we're going to bring this one in and we're going to do the same over here, and we're going to hope that that matches pretty well. And it just brings your card, kind of brings it to life here when you put all of these in. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think I should try and run this through the embossing folder and see what it looks like all embossed, or should we leave it plain? You tell me what you think. And there we go. We have that. And as you can see, I put 3, where I put a bigger dot here, and then I just went around and used 9 dots. But I don't think I'm going to do that today. I think I'm going to actually leave. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. So, tell me, you want me to try it? Okay, emboss, please. Be right back. Don't talk about me while I'm gone. You'll hear me cranking over here for a minute while I get this ready to do. And let's go real subtle. And I do think this embossing folder is gone, but it's the one I use to be real subtle. And that's what I want on here for right now, because I don't want to get too busy until I see what's going to turn out. There we go. Crank it through. I think I like this much better. Can you see the embossing on there? Let my camera catch up. I like it with it all embossed. I really think that looks kind of pretty. I don't know. Can you see it? There we go. If I tilt it the other way, towards the light. But anyway, that's embossed. So let's finish putting it together, and then we'll really see what we have. And since it's embossed, I'm going to try to really glue it. Now, the other one I actually put on with dimensionals, but it wasn't embossed. When I emboss, I tend to like to use the glue so I can get it to really hold it down all over. So that's a very subtle embossing folder, but and actually the green over here, these are really embossed right through here, which really looks nice. So let's take this little itty bitty guy, and I use Lovely Arrangements. I use the Happy Birthday here, and then I use the Lovely Arrangements this little long rectangle die for my card. So let's get out Happy Birthday. I don't think I left that on the block. Nope, it's right here. So let's get that. Oh, I need to clean my blocks so bad. How often do you guys clean your blocks? Do you clean them? Mine, if you can see all the glue and stuff, that's from having classes and just doing everything. It gets mighty dirty. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Miss Darla. Okay, so let's ink this up. And I'm just touching my pad lightly because I just want my happy birthday words to be inked. I thought I got my thumb. And then I'm just going to put it on this little tag. I have to tell you guys a funny story. I went to a, Vicki, I cleaned mine. I'll tell you my story in a minute. I cleaned mine with hand sanitizer. And I found the best that works, it smells good too, is Bath and Body Works. I had a bunch of trial size of these, and that's what I used. And I tell you what, it really takes the glue and everything off of them. I really, really like using that a whole lot. So, back to my funny story. But first, I'm going to put the little dimensionals on the back of this, and they just fit. So, let's add those. My funny story is, yesterday, I went to a memorial for a friend of ours. He's been a friend of ours for like 50-something years. Haven't seen his grandkids in a good while. And, so when I walked in, his one grandson, named Dalton, they have some cognitive issues and stuff, but he's so sweet. He's 24, he works and everything. He's very functional. But anyway, he said, hey, and he just hugged me. And I said, hey, Dalton, how are you? And he's like, I'm fine. Conversation left. There was other people, people I hadn't seen in a long time. We were talking and stuff before the memorial started. And after the memorial, I went up to tell his grandma that we were going to get ready to leave. And when I walked up to her, she says, Dalton, there's Rita. And I said, well, Dalton, you hugged me when I came in. He goes, no, there's another Rita. And I said, no, there's only one Rita. And he said, no, he says, there has to be another Rita because the Rita I'm thinking about was a lot heavier than you. And I said, Dalton, that was me. I've lost 80 pounds. And we started laughing. He says, well, I knew you looked familiar, but I knew that you weren't the same Rita I remembered. And he says, because she was heavier. And I said, yes, she was. And I said, I'm glad you noticed. And anyway, it was the funniest story because if you'd have seen his face, because he kept saying, I know there's another Rita because she was heavier and stuff. And I just clicked. I said, Dalton, I think that was me. And so we had to tell him that I had lost a lot of weight and stuff. And it was just, it was the sweetest thing. Yet we laughed about it. But it was just so sweet because he didn't mean anything by it, you know. He was just like, there's another Rita. And it's like, no, there's just one of me. And it was cute. I've thought about that yesterday while it happened. Afterwards, I just kind of chuckled. And I kept telling him after that, before I left, I kept saying, Dalton, you made my day. It was cute. But it was a nice memorial. It was sad, but I was glad to reconnect with people I hadn't seen in a long time. It's sad that that's all we do is see people at funerals anymore, but anyway, that's what my story was yesterday. It's funny. And then when I get there, my nephew gets out of his car. He's from Kansas. I'm like, you did not tell me you were coming. And my daughter says, well, Mom, he just told me he's been here since yesterday. And I yelled at him because he could have told us and stayed with one of us. And he stayed in a hotel. So he got in trouble. But he came from Kansas because he grew up with this man, you know. And so it's just a sad situation. We lost a very old-time friend. We had lots of stories, though. I could tell you a boob story that happened at it, too. I don't know if I should tell my boob story. You want to hear my boob story? I always have boob stories now that I don't have boobs, I guess. But I think I am going to try to I'm going to do these in these corners like this. See what it looks like. But my boob story goes as, this is another friend. She's like, we've been friends for as long as we've been friends with the other guy. And because we were all friends together. And she came up to me. She goes, Rita, I haven't seen you for so long. I said, I know. I said, it's been a long, long time. I think I like that better. What do you think? You tell me. And then I'll put my bow and stuff on it. She gave me a hug, and she said something about, I don't know. Somebody said something about boobs. I don't know how that happens. But anyway, I said, yeah, I don't have any boobs. And she says, well, I don't either. And I raised up and I said, Joanne, I really don't have any boobs. And she goes, well, I have some. She goes, it don't look like I have any because I just tuck them into my pants. And I laugh every time I think of her saying that. It was the funniest story. And I said, you know, we're those little old ladies that go to these things and we haven't seen each other in so long. We just make fun of whatever it is that we're there and, you know, that we're seeing each other. It was so funny. But she said, yeah, she tucked hers in her pants. And I'm like, well, gravity isn't our friend. So there you go. So I'm going to put a bow on this. I just always have funny stories wherever I go. My kid's like, Mom, how's that happen? I'm like, I don't know. I have funny friends. We have fun times. So anyway, now I'm just going to tie a bow. Just tie a bow. And then I'm going to uncurl it because I just curled it. That wasn't what I intended to do, but it's what happened. Now that one's going to curl on me. Yuck. Let me make this one a little bit bigger, maybe. There we go. I'm just going to trim these. I'm going to put a glue dot on it. I am funny and happy, even in sad circumstances. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this and tuck that glue dot right up and under there a little bit where my bow will sit down here. And there we go. And we could add, we did the white on there, but you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to take this white, center off right here. We're going to change him out. I need a little color up there. So let's put the this one in with the white around it. That looks, I like that. That brings it all out. So anyway, here is this card. Same with me, Marion. I love Darla's pictures. Looks so calm and inviting. I love it. I tell you what, Brenda, we're just a crazy bunch. I think it's living in Ohio. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy people around here. Not crazy, just crazy fun. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I cut it 5 3/4 by 2 3/8. Is what I think I cut it. But no, I think this one was cut bigger. It was cut about 2 1/2, and I bet that was just a scrap I had. So anyway, that's what I'm going to use. When I do my envelopes, I don't know about you guys because I know everybody does them. I just don't ever remember. And see, I was almost going to forget it because I talk too much. So anyway, I glue my flap. And then I'm going to lay this to where I have just a little bit of an edge on each side. It's really almost even. And I want to be below my flap so it doesn't show on this side. And I'm just going to press that down. Then I want to take my scissors and just cut around this edge. I hear my husband outside with the weed eater. So we're supposed to get some bad storms on Thursday. So he's cutting our grass today. He's going to cut the church. He's got it all planned out. He's going to cut the church tomorrow before the rain starts. And so he's out there working. And look, how did I get that cut around that? You know what? I'm just going to trim my envelope. Right there. Nobody will know the difference. You know it? Only us. We only know. I do have my tiny scissors out today. I love these scissors. I gotta look at this pair of tiny scissors I have. They were just given to me. These are super sharp. They're actually sewing scissors, Marion, but I'm going to use them for paper piecing. Did you hear me say piecing? Paper piecing. So yeah, you're probably sending it all to us, Vicki. So anyway, there is my card for today. I hope you liked it, and I think any kind of DSP will really work for this. Well, I didn't stamp. I'm lucky to cover the envelope. I have stamped it before. I just forget. Somebody needs to remind me, like when we come on here, like, Rita, you have an envelope today? And then I can hurry and get one out and do something with it. They are sewing scissors, but I have another friend, her brother-in-law passed away. He was a master quilter. He lived in Iowa. Yes, Iowa. And anyway, he was a master quilter, and he had a ton of those scissors that he used to do in his given his quilting classes. And so she brought them to us, you know, that does all kinds of stuff, and wanted to know if we wanted some. And I took a pair to do tiny paper piecing, and because I want to do a video on actual paper piecing, not just not die cutting, but actually putting stuff together. No, I usually don't store. I don't always store my projects in an envelope, but I like to do that because I know it's all together for that card. And and it's just something I would love to try to get into, but you know, things with me only last for a little while. But the difference between these two, this is embossed, this one's actually raised with dimensionals there, and then here also where the dimensionals are just on this happy birthday. The dimensionals or the embellishments are a little different as far as being put on there and stuff. So anyway, they are fun cards, and it doesn't take that much because you only actually need two squares of each, 3 squares of each if you want to put them on the inside also. And that, so it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. I mean, a whole lot of DSP or the cardstock, either one. So, but it sure does help use it up. And it's a pretty way to do it. So that's my version of this card. Another thing you could do, actually, I think it'd be a little harder to match up, would be to put dimensionals on all of these. And put those up from the card. But I really like it on there. I like it embossed. I like it plain. I just like the card. So the PDF should be up. And so that is up for today. Tomorrow we will have What's Up Wednesday. And then on Saturday we will have my Simply Saturday video. I am trying to get a little bit ahead. Don't hold me to that either, because that doesn't always work either. But I'm trying. I'm trying. So you guys all have a great day. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon. I have a checkup with my oncologist, and because it's for the medicine I take. No chemo, no nothing. We're not venturing out to those places, but he will monitor the pill that I take. So he told me I'd be seeing him for the next 5 to 10 years with this medicine. So that's what we're doing. And we're going to go there today, and then I don't know what we're doing. Playing in the basement, I hope. But you guys have you just pulled some paper, Vicky. Well, I know you're always on it. But you guys, if you make this card, please be sure to share it, okay? It's a fun card. It might look a little intimidating, but it's not. You just got to figure out your way to get these on to where they look even and not very... if I could find the one in the garbage, I'd show it to you real quick. But I think I really... No, it's right here. See how off they looked corner-wise? Because that was on, I couldn't get this on straight to be straight here. So they got really off. Did not like that whatsoever. And that was just by putting these two on first and then trying to do these. So I had to figure out another way to do that. So anyway, you guys have a good one today, and I hope to see you soon. Be creative when you can. Bye.